Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. It's episode 180, Kill Bill Volume 2 from 2004. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode's brought to you by The Body Shop. The Body Shop's peppermint cooling and reviving foot spray. If you want to refresh and revive your hot, tired feet with an instant pick-me-up of cooling, deodorizing peppermint, put it in the fridge for a summertime treat. Shout out to The Body Shop.
Well, shout out to The Body Shop and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. No intro segment today. This is a bonus episode on a Friday, closing out Kill Bill week. This is our final movie in Lap 8. Next week we have our Tune-Up Relap Recap where we bring back Heather Antos one more time. But before we do that, before we introduce Lap 9 next week, we got to close out the Tokyo Drift Lap. We got to close out the Kill Bill week, and we got to talk about Kill Bill Volume 2.
We were talking about it in the last episode. I was like, man, I really like Kill Bill Volume 1.
Yeah.
You were like, yeah, 2 is just so much better. Rachel's like, I like 2 so much better. I forgot that I've seen 2 probably like 7,000 times, and like I pretty much remembered every word of it, but didn't remember how much better it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, interesting.
I could pretty much quote the entire movie. I didn't realize how many times I've seen it. It's fucking incredible.
So this movie was so well received that when they did the first test screening in Austin, there was a 5-minute standing ovation, and like the Weinstein, I don't know if the Weinsteins were there, or just Miramax was there as like represented, and the company that was putting on the test screening decided we're not going to hand out comment cards. We don't need to hand out like we know what the reaction is.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
I mean, we talked about last time that these two were meant to be a 4-hour epic film, like one, and then they were like, no, we can't do that. There is supposedly, like we also mentioned last time, that Quentin said there a Volume 3 would happen, but quote, not for a decade. I don't know when that was, but I think more than a decade ago. They talked about spin-off around Vernita Green's daughter, Nikki, or also a possible all-anime backstory of the Deadly Viper assassination squad. So we got a little bit of overrun. Cool. Yeah. So here's some trivia like we do last time. Then we'll get into the movie because there's a bunch of trivia about this too. Some more references to things I did not know were references, but we of course, there's more of those.
Of course. The
big behind-the-scenes gossip is that Daryl Hannah and Uma Thurman did not get along with one another.
Oh.
Uma won Best Fight at the MTV Movie Awards 2 years in a row. So she won with Gogo Yubari the year before, and she collected the award.
Yes.
And then this time, apparently, she and Elle Driver won for their fight in this movie. She and Daryl Hannah won, and Uma did not show up. Daryl Hannah was there to collect the award, but Uma did not show up, which is very, very interesting. Apparently, they had
really.
They had I know, but they had staffers and people make sure that they were separated. It wasn't just that. It was more stuff behind the scenes that no, they don't get along.
Was she at the award show, just didn't show up to collect it, or
no? I think she just didn't go to the award show. I don't know. That's the impression I got from IMDb. I don't go deeper than that because
it makes sense.
It's not a rabbit hole that I'm going to fall down. But speaking of Elle Driver, speaking of Daryl Hannah, she drives a 1980 Pontiac Trans Am in this film. Mm-hmm. So shout out to the cars of our Fast and Furious podcast. Daryl Hannah owns a Trans Am that was used in promo shots, but Michael Madsen owns the one that actually was driving in this movie. So they both kind of got one. He got the one that actually works, which kind of feels a little shitty, but
They were their cars, or they just got the cars that were in the movie afterwards?
No, I think they got the ones that were in the movie. I think that they were just, so.
That's cool.
Quentin has the pussy wagon.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I want to say he's got, in this movie we see Bud has his Hattori Hanzo sword just in a golf club bag, a golf bag.
Yeah.
I think maybe Quentin Tarantino has the swords in his garage or something. I don't remember. There's some story that I heard about that. I don't know.
That would make sense.
Daryl Hannah improvised the scene where she gets her eye plucked out. She improvised her overreaction. Maybe not overreaction, but improvised her reaction because she thought Quentin Tarantino would laugh, and he did. But apparently she hurt herself because she was smashing into so many things. Very funny, very memorable, but apparently that was not in the script. She just I'm going to do this because it's going to be funny, and so she did it.
Yeah, one of those, I'm going to do this for the blooper reel or something, and then
but just in the movie.
Yeah, in the movie.
She was originally supposed to have her throat cut by Beatrix, by the bride, but she did not, just had the eye plucked out. But her pain, this scene, this reaction is very similar. Apparently, her character Pris in Blade Runner has a similar kind of thing, I guess. So Blade Runner comes up a lot on here.
It does.
I forgot Daryl Hannah was in that, and
Same.
Apparently, the reaction was similar.
I need to rewatch Blade Runner now.
I feel like I would remember that, but maybe I don't. I don't know. I guess.
No
I don't. I know that I don't, but I thought I would.
Yeah, upon reading it, for sure.
This is kind of a famous, film nerd Kill Bill story, is that Robert Rodriguez scored this movie, did the score for this movie for $1.
Yes.
And so in repayment, Quentin Tarantino directed one scene in Sin City for $1, which is the scene with the cop cars and all those crazy lights and stuff like that. So, they're always friends. They're always doing things together. They would do Grindhouse together 3 or 4 years after this, right? So pretty cool stuff.
That's always like a fun thing. Like, a lot of the times, like when my friends and I make bets, it's always just like for $1. Like, it's not like for serious money. It's more just like, you're my friend and here's a thing. So I think that's cool.
Someone we'll be talking a lot about this episode, Paimei. So his 3-inch punch is in reference to Bruce Lee's 3-inch knockout punch. So that's where that comes from. Apparently in the script, his 5-point palm exploding heart technique was a 10-point palm. And I guess they just scaled it down for the movie.
They didn't have enough time.
I guess so.
Probably
Actually,
not.
speaking of time, nothing but time, but speaking of that for a second, the original end of this movie was going to be a sword fight on a moonlit beach between Beatrix and Bill, and Beatrix was going to be in her wedding dress. Production ran long and they couldn't film that, so instead she just talks about it. And then, they have their little fight in the backyard or whatever. But apparently it was going to be much more cinematic and much more like operatic, and her in her dress. And I guess that's where she would kill him then. But yeah, that's kind of a bummer because I would have liked to have seen that. But,
I like
things
the
happen.
end. I like this end. I would have liked to have seen that, but at the same time, like, I don't think it's like, oh man, like, that would have made it so much better, right? Like,
Right,
it's just,
yeah.
It's just like, oh, that'd be cool.
But back to Paimei for a second. So his round hole plank punch. So he shows her how to punch through like a board and like it's a round hole as opposed to, it's splintering.
Yeah.
Apparently it's a reference to several martial arts masters, including Masusatsu Oyama, founder of the Kyokushin School of Karate, who is said to have punched such a hole in an oak door to stop a burglar who was trying to break into his house. So whether that's real or just, a story of legend,
Myth,
it's cool that they're like, hey, this guy is so strong he can just punch directly through wood as opposed to like just breaking the wood or whatever, right?
I think that's really cool. That's a really nice touch. I didn't know the background to it, but I really like that because, yeah, normally you would just break the board in half, but it's like, I concentrate my power so tightly that I punch a perfect circle through the wood.
Paimei is based on Paimei, Pakmei, the originator of the white eyebrow kung fu technique. According to legend, Paimei was one of the few masters left following the decimation of the Buddhist temples. He later sold out other masters to save his team and himself during an attack gone wrong. For this reason, Paimei Kung Fu has always been known as, quote, the forbidden technique, and he has been seen as a villain, which I think is kind of interesting, because here he's kind of neutral. Like, he's not really necessarily good or bad. I mean, he's training assassins, right? So maybe bad, but, like, kind of just seems like I'm an old man who's going to do my thing and take from it what you will.
So this guy was just in trouble because he was like a traitor, essentially? That's why it's the forbidden technique? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I wouldn't play that up for my character in the movie either. Like,
no. So here's the two crazy things about Paimei that I'm so glad neither happened. So first, originally, Quentin wanted Paimei to, because in the movie, Gordon Liu, who also plays Johnny Moe, the bald guy in the Crazy 88s in the first movie, which I forgot, but very grindhousey, like in Death Proof and Planet Terror. Some actors cross over. Here in the Kill Bill movies, we got Michael Parks as a sheriff in the beginning of the first one. We got him as Esteban Vejeo in the end of this one. And then we got Gordon Liu as Johnny Moe. And we also have him here as Paimei. So, like, just kind of cool. Because it was originally supposed to be some other actor, and I don't remember who it was. Oh, wait, no. I have that. I have that here.
Okay.
Esteban Vejeo was supposed to be somebody else. That guy couldn't do it. So, like, we'll just get, the other guy's like, I'll do it. And it was great. The original plan for Paimei was for Gordon Liu to speak Cantonese, but then have his voice be dubbed in English, like, really poorly, to do, like, a bad dub job. And Quentin Tarantino was going to dub his voice himself, and then eventually abandoned that idea because, like, it's just cool. Like, it's funny, but it
kills the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what would have been worse was, so the choreographer for this movie, Wu Ping Yen, was originally set to play Paimei in addition to doing his choreography stuff on the movie, but said he couldn't do both. Like, he couldn't make the choreography work and also act in this part. Quentin Tarantino was like, fuck it, I'll do it. Which,
play Paimei?
Can you imagine? Yes. Can you imagine Quentin as Paimei? And then eventually he was like, okay, we'll get Gordon Liu to do it. But, like, there was a time, apparently, I don't know how long, but apparently a time where Quentin was like, yeah, I can play Paimei. It's like, no,
you can't.
No.
You're barely tolerable as, like, Jimmy in Pulp Fiction. You know what I mean? Like,
or his, like, Australian guy at the end of Django, where he's just, it's like, wait, what? I get it, but, like, what are you doing?
And honestly, he's not a good actor. You make excellent movies, and I don't even mind you putting yourself in them, but, like, give yourself the smallest talking parts, please. Like,
yeah.
like the coffee line, like you can see that it's Tarantino writing it. You can see what he wants it to sound like, and it does not sound like that. Thank God he wasn't Paimei.
I read it. I'm like, oh my God, can you imagine? Can you believe? That's the kind of thing where, like, you know, we were saying last time about how, like, no one says no to him. It's like, well, somebody should say no to that. Like, it's just like, you can't. Come on, guys. Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, somebody should have been like if it got any further than him just saying he wanted to do it on a bender, if he if it got anywhere, somebody should have sat him down and been like, yeah, about that, which we're not going to do that, right?
Quentin, no, my man, no, we're not doing this.
We're not actually going to do that, right? Like, that's, you know, that's not a good idea.
So Esteban, Michael Parks, tells the story about Bill in the movie theater sucking his thumb. So apparently that was a story that Kurt Russell told Quentin Tarantino that Kurt Russell did when he first saw Marilyn Monroe on screen when he was a young boy. So, like, just that whole, like...
Little fast connection, too.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Nobody and Marilyn Monroe.
Well, also from Death Proof, yes, but Mr. Nobody, too. Yes. Another internal not Fast Action, Quentin Action, Tarantino Action, is that, I'm sure you've probably heard this, that a fan theory says that Rufus, the church pianist played by Samuel L. Jackson, is Jules from Pulp Fiction after he walks the earth.
Oh, no, I've never heard that.
I mean, there's no indication one way or the other. He's just kind of like this mysterious guy. Like, why would a black man be in, like, West Texas where there's, like, no other black people around? Just, like, because he's hiding out, maybe, you know? So
that would track. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. And, you know, everybody's always trying to connect all the Tarantino movies, so...
Right.
That would, that would work.
At the end of this movie, Bill calls Beatrix both a natural-born killer, which is a movie that Tarantino wrote, obviously, but also a renegade killer bee, which are both Wu-Tang references as well.
Yes.
And RZA wrote most of the original music for these two movies, so a little bit of a Wu-Tang connection there as well.
Obviously, yeah.
There are references to 5 other movies that I found on IMDb. So there's Venom from 1981, where it's the scene where Bud opens a case and a black mamba bites him in the face. That's from Venom, essentially.
Oh, that's cool.
Bud's line, "I just caught me the cowgirl that ain't never been caught," is from the movie The Driver from 1978, or some version of that is from The Driver. We'll probably cover that because that's a cool movie. That's about cars, obviously.
Yeah.
The Acuna Boys, which I think are referenced here at the end, they're from a movie called Rolling Thunder from 1977. And in that movie, they're a fictional gang in a movie about 5 murderers who kill the wife and son of a POW, and that guy gets his quest for revenge. So it's like kind of the same plot. So again, probably just like a gritty kind of movie that Tarantino likes, that also thematically is similar. Like, let's just steal the name.
Yeah. Yep.
We mentioned a couple times last time the Man with No Name trilogy. In For a Few Dollars More, the place where Clint Eastwood has a duel with Indio is Aqua Caliente, and there's a street sign near the church at the beginning of this movie that's called Aqua Caliente, so it's, again, a reference to that. And then when L. Driver and Beatrix are fighting in the trailer, the bride says, "You got no future." That's apparently from Red Sonja, something like, "I know the future, you have none," some line like that. That's from in Red Sonja, where a warrior seeks vengeance upon a villain who slew her family and allowed her warriors to rape her. So again, a woman getting revenge. Shout out to Red Sonja in this.
Makes sense.
The only other trivia I think that I have here, and this is what I saved for the end on purpose, is that obviously one of the biggest, like the thing that we've probably spent more time talking about than anything in this lab is Shogun Assassin, Lone Wolf and Cub. So in this movie, at the end of the movie, the bride and BB watch Shogun Assassin.
Yes.
So in the script, it was meant to be that they were supposed to watch Disney's The Aristocats. And Disney said no.
What?
Wildly
different.
So then Quentin shifted to an episode of Samurai Jack, which if you look in the scene, there's a Samurai Jack case on top of the TV.
Okay.
But then what we hear is, obviously, for our sake, obviously, Shogun Assassin. But what's interesting, knowing that this was never really meant, is that you hear both BB and Bill say Shogun Assassin, but they don't say it on screen. Like, we don't see either of their mouths say Shogun Assassin. Like, we see them talking about a thing, and, like, we see him say, like, "Oh, no, that's too long," or whatever. So that was clearly, like, after the fact, but I don't know why I don't know what was supposed to be Aristocats. I don't know why it was switched to Samurai Jack. That makes more sense. But then I don't know why they would have switched again to Shogun Assassin. Like, it's just a wild, for this thing that's, like, so indelible and so, like, at the core of literally 3 episodes and, like, 5 movies, Shogun Assassin and the first 4 Lone Wolf and Cub movies that we talked about, like,
yes,
never really supposed to be in the movie. It's just like, I was like, what? I can't. Come on, guys.
You know, as we were watching them back to back, like, this is mostly an homage to Shogun Assassin and Lone Wolf and Cub, right? Like, that's pretty much what a lot of this is.
And like, I wonder if it was the kind of thing where like, you know, he wanted a kids thing and Aristocats they couldn't get the rights to. So like, all right, let's do Samurai Jack because it's a kid show or whatever. And then in post or whatever, like, Quentin's like, I know what we can do. And then they just, you know, get the rights to Shogun Assassin or whatever.
I think it's the other way around where it was like, he was like, it'd be too on the nose for them to be watching Shogun Assassin. Like, everybody would get it. And then, like, he probably, like, said, like, you know, oh, yeah, I'm going to put Aristocats here. And everybody's like, why? And he's like, well, I was going to use Shogun Assassin, but, like, it would be too obvious. And everybody's like, no, just use Shogun Assassin.
But, like, that still doesn't explain why in the scene, in the shot, you can see Samurai Jack on the TV.
Or why they don't say, yeah, like, it was definitely a late edit, right? So,
I don't know.
Feels weird.
So let's talk about Kill Bill 2. So this movie is almost half an hour longer than Volume 1. I mean, there's some extended credits here where there's like, you know, all the people and what they're doing and everything, which are beautiful. But Kill Bill 2, so you, in retrospect, now like this more than the first one?
Oh, hands down. Tack the Sonny Chiba part onto the front of this movie and you're good. I'm fine. I mean, I like Oren, but it's so much better. Like, the only thing that I'm missing is the whole Hattori Hanzo getting the sword part. Because the Paimei shit is just as good. It's so fucking good. So, yeah.
I don't know how to say that. Like, I mean, I love both. I really do think that if there was one thing, it would still be my favorite thing that he ever made.
Yes,
I think the first one has higher highs, but also lower lows. And I think on average, like, if this is like a B plus or just to pick an arbitrary thing, like if this is like a B plus or an A minus all the way through, like the first movie ranges from like an A to a C or something like that. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah. It has
this
more
is kind of steadily
and
like
valleys. Yeah.
Yes. And the last hour of this all being Bill and the bride, like they don't skimp at all on this thing that you've been waiting essentially 3.5 hours for, right? It's like you watch the first 2-hour movie and then you watch like an hour 20 into this, and then it says like the final chapter or last chapter, whatever the title card reads. And it's like, we're an hour in their home. And it's like, okay, this thing that we've been waiting for that, you know, if you think about trailers, you know, you think about waiting for this 6, 9, 12 months out, whatever, like you want Uma to kill Bill.
Yes.
And you have an hour of them together. It's not like, oh yeah, just, you know, 10 minutes at the end, whatever. She sneaks in, she shoots him, it's over, right? Like
that would be really lame. It would
dedicate
really
it, and it works.
Yeah, it would really, really shortchange it. I mean, he obviously knows that, right? He's good at constructing an unfolding a story. But I'm saying, like, can you imagine how shitty... Like, what if we had the Wells version of this where it's like, she finds Bill, she shoots him. You know, you'd be like, oh, fuck, that's so disappointing.
So do you have a pick for cool moment in this movie?
I think that the coolest moment for me is something that was now in the last movie and this movie. Bud saying, like... She deserves her revenge and we deserve to die. Like that little monologue when he's talking to Bill and like Bill standing there, the car behind him, like that is just like he's fully come to grips that like she's gonna fucking kill us. Like she's gonna kill us. She deserves to. And like I'm just now waiting for it to happen. I think that's one of the coolest moments in the movie for me.
It's really cool. I do like that. Oh, also one other thing that I saw in the trivia is that no man in either of these movies kills someone. Everybody who dies on screen dies at the hand of a woman, which I think is kind of cool, pretty cool.
Oh, that is really cool. I didn't notice.
I mean, the bride kills most of them, but you know,
Oren
kills Bud, right? So
yeah, Oren, yeah.
I think one of my picks for cool moment is in the scene with Paimei, which we'll talk about more.
Yeah.
But he says to her, because she comes in like all kind of cocky or whatever, and she's like, you know, I'm more than proficient at the, you know, the exquisite art of the samurai sword or whatever. And they fight or whatever, and he's just like, if you land a single blow, I'll bow down and call you master. Like, if you hit me once, I have nothing to teach you. And just like him just dunking on her, because we know how good she is, right?
Yeah,
like, you know, this is the
bad.
beginning, but like him just being like, yeah, just hit me once, just one time, and we're good. And obviously she doesn't.
No, I like that. You're right. That's a good one too.
What I think is really kind of interesting about this, and I think, you know, thinking more about like sort of structure and the way things are laid out and paced, is that this is fascinating in that it works as a prequel after the fact, right? Like it's a prequel and a sequel, because it's the end of her story, but it's also the beginning of her story. It works so effectively that you think about like how many origin stories we have to suffer through in modern movies, right? And like this is just like, let's just see her kick ass. And then the second part, which essentially is part of the whole or whatever, if you think about it as one movie, but like the second part, that's when we see where she got her powers, essentially,
Yep.
and also how she finishes her story. Like, it's such a smart way to do it that, like, you don't have to get bogged down by, like, okay, here she is. She doesn't have a sword. She's got no skills, whatever. And then, like, at the end, she's a superhero. It's just like, no, like, we can see from the beginning, she's kicking ass, right? So, I don't know. It's cool.
I think that would be, this technique would be used really well in a lot of the superhero movies. Let's not wait an hour for Spider-Man to get bit. Let's just have him be Spider-Man and then be like, oh shit, that time I got bit. And then it's like 5 minutes and you're like, cool, that was cool. We got to see it. Like, not an hour and a half to get to him getting bit to be Spider-Man.
And that's, I think, something that Marvel finally learned by having Spider-Man show up fully formed in
Yes.
Civil War and having Black Panther show up fully formed in Civil War. Like, they've been doing their thing. We just haven't seen them do their thing. As opposed to, all right, here's Peter Parker, mild-mannered reporter, mild-mannered photojournalist, it's just like, yeah, okay, cool, we get it. So, and I mean, like, we Tarantino kind of known for, although he's gone away from it recently, but for a while there was known for telling his stories out of order. But, like, this isn't even that. Like, this is just, like, a smart way to time the flashback in a way that is like, okay, this is accretive to the story, and we can be like, okay, we know who she is, now let's see where she comes from, because we've kind of heard about Paimei. Paimei is going to factor into the L Driver thing, because, he plucked her eye out, and she eventually killed him, or whatever, right? So, the structure of it, and even if you think about it as, like, 1 4-hour thing, like, coming, 2.5 hours in, or what, you know what I mean? Just, it works.
It is. It's very, very smart. This is the benefit you get from having someone make a movie that's watched so many movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just, like, knows, like, okay, this works. Like, as much as we're like, oh yeah, he's just, like, stealing a lot of things, he has an eye for what the good things are. So, like,
right.
And then that shines through.
Well, it's the kind of thing where, like, I feel bad ever criticizing things, like, too much, because I'm like, well, I haven't made things, right? Like, I'm not out there making movies, and I feel like I shouldn't criticize things. But at the same time, it's like, I've seen thousands of, like,
Yes,
I've blogged literally thousands of movies on Letterboxd, and, like, I know when a story is good or not, and, like, it's not like we argue about things. We're like, yeah, it was fun, I was fine. I'm just like, no, but it was like, objectively bad. You're like, yeah, it was just, it was a good way to spend 90 minutes or 2 hours. I'm like, yeah, but, like, it's not good. It's like one of those things where it's like, I don't want to just, like, shit on things, but it's like, I'm at a point where, like, if you don't do something kind of creative or well done, it's just like, give me something, right? Like, respect. I don't know. Like, not everybody's just trying to kill time, essentially, right? And so, I don't know.
There's a medium for that, but, like, if you have the power to make a film, would you not, like, want it to be something? Like, something? That's, we talk about that a lot. They're, like, my least favorite movies, and we've, like, covered some on Zack Attack and other things, they're just, like, movies that are just movies, right? Like, the mid-range ones are the worst. Like, at least if you're gonna make it bad, like, make it bad, right? Like then it's a passion project, maybe, or there's, like, some kind of backstory, or, you cranked out, like, 100 of these that year, how the fuck did you make so many? Like, something. It's the ones that are just like, that was a movie. You're like, can you have some respect for my time? Like,
yeah, it's unfortunate because, like, you never know, like, why they're hamstrung by that, but, like, it's something that I've sort of been able to pick up, like, sort of reading the Matrix through the code on Letterboxd, and I'm trying to teach Brian this, because this year on High School Slumber Party, Brian has been bringing in, so he's always used to do Rotten Tomatoes, both critics and the audience, and he started bringing in the Letterboxd numbers, and he always shits on Letterboxd every single episode. I'm like, look, like, what you have to know is, like, if it's above a 4, it's amazing, and if it's above, like, a 3.5, it's really good, but, like, it's that range from, like, 2.9 to 3.1 on Letterboxd. I'm just like, there's nothing for me here. And, like, I might love movies in there. I don't know. But it feels like Letterboxd, like, that's just, like, enough of an aggregate of all different types of movie watchers that if I was just like, yeah, it's a 3 out of 5, it's like, yeah, there's nothing here. Whereas you take a movie that, like, Spring Breakers or whatever, where you look at the little bar graph of where people, how people rank them, it's like a 2.4 average or whatever, but, like, there's a bunch of 5s, there's a bunch of 4s, but, like, it's a lot of bad. It's like, well, there's a lot of people here who think this is great, and it's not just, like, teen girls who love star idol X or Y, right? Like, there's something else about this going on, and that's what's interesting. But it's like, oh, if it's like everything's a 3, it's like, yeah, okay, I don't need to see this.
My rule, which is always like, I always want to watch movies over 80 and under 20. That's the rule. Don't give me that middle shit, man. This ain't no middle of the mall shit here. That's what I want.
Although I have, and I think we've talked about this before too, is that, like, one of the things that I've heard about Rotten Tomatoes is the kind of thing, and I don't like Rotten Tomatoes, but like the 50% where it's like people either love it or hate it is like, well, that's kind of interesting too. Although, I don't know, it's not always like, sometimes 50% is just 50%. Like,
yes.
You don't need to see this movie. So
yes, exactly. That's the bar graph works better, but the idea is the same.
One thing I thought was really, really cool about this, and again, in the structure of it all, is that, we've seen her in the first movie, especially just watching it 2 days ago. We see her in the first movie kicking ass the entire time. And like, yeah, Oren slices her in the back here, but she kills the crazy 88, she kills Oren, she kills Vernita Green, and she gets a little bloody doing it, but like kind of unstoppable, right?
Pretty much.
And then this movie starts and she's like in ninja shit, right? Like hiding under Buck's trailer. And we know that we see Buck, like, or Bud, not Buck. Buck's the other guy she kills.
Yes.
But she sees Bud, like he's classified as just such a fuck up, right? Like he's
bumbly.
A bouncer at a strip club.
That's
and
late.
he like, yes. And
can't even do that right.
He's joking about like hawking his Hattori Hanzo sword and just like lives in a trailer. Not that living in a trailer is bad, but like they're making him out to be like this guy that like he's past his prime, he's out of shape, he's got a dumb hat, whatever, right?
Yes.
And we see her in her ninja shit under his trailer, and we're like, oh, okay. And then she opens the door and gets a chest full of buckshot, and I'm like, oh shit! Like this woman who was like literally bulletproof the entire first movie. The first interaction, like almost the first time we see her in, the current timeline, because we have the opening in black and white, but like she gets taken down hard and buried alive, right? Like, It's a serious, like, oh no, like I thought, she gets out of it, obviously, but it's like, oh, I completely misread. Like he does such a good job there, I think, of like setting up what you think this is going to be like, because it should be like she just walks in, like he doesn't even pay attention, and she just stabs him or whatever, right?
He's like, drunk, like passed out, watching TV, listening to a record, and she just like cuts his throat and walks out.
But maybe she underestimated him. I don't think that she did, but like,
I think she did. No, I think she did.
She gets blindsided there, and I'm just like, oh god, like even knowing what happens and like how it gets set up, like it's still surprising because it's like such a reversal of like, well, she's bulletproof.
It's also like one of those things where as much as she underestimates him, like don't forget that like he was one of them.
Yep.
Like he might have been the worst one of them, but it's the, every Fast and Furious movie is a good movie, right? So it's like even if it's the worst one of them, he's still professional assassin, so like he's going to remember some of it, and he knows she's coming, which is another big piece of this.
Yeah.
So, like, he's on guard. So, like, as much as he's, like, just drinking in his trailer, he's like, she's coming for us. Like, I know that she's going to show up here and try to kill me.
And to be fair, she does enter through the front door, right? It's
literally.
It's not like she sneaks through a window. She just, like, kicks open the front door and she's like, oh, well, okay, buckshot.
Or just wait,
right?
Like, how the fuck doesn't she wait for him to walk out and just, like, slice his ankle? Like, his Achilles or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was, she was definitely being cocky. Like, I killed the other ones. Those were the hard ones. Let me get this easy one out of the way real quick. And he was like, don't forget about me.
He does feel like an afterthought, though, because, like, and I thought about this before, but again, I was thinking about it here, especially in the fight between L Driver and the bride, because L is the letter L, and Beatrix is the letter B, and we got O-Ren as O, and Vernita Green, there's not that many names. Like, it's just, you can hear people being like, oh, V, give me that thing V or whatever, right?
Okay.
But then there's Bud. So we have, like, 4 letters for 4 different women, and there's just Bud.
Well, Bud's the only guy.
I know, but like it just feels like he's so out of place.
Yeah, he is. And it's like Bud as like the coattail of Bill anyways, right? Like, so I mean, they say that they're brothers. Do you think that they're actual brothers?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so he's just like my brother Bud that's like just tagging along. Like he doesn't want to do this and he's just a slacker, and that's how it works.
Speaking of Bud, you get an impression from it in the beginning at the strip club. Like I got, and maybe just because I watched the movie recently, but I felt like the club owner was trying to be like, flex his muscles or whatever, and be like it felt like and sounded like he was channeling his inner Don Corleone.
Well, you have to remember that they start the scene with him doing a bunch of cocaine. So I think that it plays well in the sense that he is ripped. Yes, he's channeling his inner Don Corleone. He's doing that because he's fucked up. So It's actually, I think, a good acting job. The actor is doing badly because he's trying to imitate someone. He's like, no, I'm high.
No. Like, I think it was he was intentionally doing it, but it was just like he was kind of like, there was like the scratchy voice and like trying to show off for this, people in the stripper, like none of these strippers are impressed by this guy, right? Yeah.
No,
it's just
he's their
like,
boss.
whatever.
Like, they have to tolerate him. It's so stupid.
I also never learned, the last note I have about Bud is that L shows up to his trailer and is going to buy the sword, going to buy Beatrix's sword from him. Elle brings a suitcase full of money, and under the money is there's the Mamba, and the Mamba comes up and bites him in the face and kills him, right?
Yes.
I never realized before that when Elle and the bride are fighting, and she like does a somersault over the like island, like the kitchen wraparound in the trailer, like the L, she lands on him like kind of as like a landing pad, like you just see his body, like his big old beer belly, and she lands on him and does like a somersault when she launches over the island. I'm like, oh, like even in death he gets no respect, just like getting like landed on mid-fight. I just thought that was kind of funny. Like it's just a very quick blink and you'll miss it. I was just like, oh, okay.
No, I've never noticed that, and now I have to pay attention to it next time I watch this movie, because I didn't notice that does she use him as like a trampoline, or does she like land on him?
She like just like thuds onto him.
That's awesome. Bud gets no respect, man. Not that he deserves any, but still, he gets no respect.
Is there an image more iconic to Channel Brian in this movie than Beatrix squishing the eyeball between her toes? It's up there. If it's not, it's up there.
Way up there. It gives me the heebie-jeebies, man. I can't. It's too... Something about like squishy things in bodies get me. Like eyes and knees were always like my two things. Like I don't want to see eye surgery, and I don't want to see knee surgery. So like the eye squishing thing is like, it really creeps me out. And then like sometimes I'll rub my eye and you'll feel that like your eye is not hard, it's squishy, and that freaks me out. It's
insane.
As somebody who's seen videos of eyes and knee surgeries at multiple points in my life, I don't want to ever see either of them again. And as I get older, dude, the more squirmish I get. Like, my stomach isn't built for shit like this anymore. Like, when I was, like, 15, maybe it was, like, the video games. Like, you're playing video games all the time, so, like, you're kind of desensitized to it. But, like, when I watch this stuff now, I'm like, ugh. Like, I had to, like, look away when she did it.
Oh, yeah, if the video games is also just horror movies, it just, the more you just take in general, like, they're not squishing eyes on Temptation Island.
Exactly, yes. Yes, they are not squishing eyes on just hearts. 5-point exploding palm heart technique, but...
Yeah. But also, like, it's like mother, like daughter, because at the end when they're doing, or in the end, in the final hour, where they're talking to BB, and she's like, I took the fish out, and I stepped on the fish. And just like, mom squishing on eyeballs, and BB's squishing on fish, and just like, different life lessons learned. I was just like, oh, like, they're both stepping on squishy things to end lives, essentially.
Yes. That's it. This is an interesting thing. So we were watching Sound of Metal, and now we're talking about Kill Bill, and I want to bring this up to you. We've never talked about this. What do you think would be more difficult for you personally? Because both I think are...
Oh, this is about senses? Go ahead.
Both are definitely difficult to deal with. Do you think it would be harder to not be able to see or not be able to hear?
I think I would rather give up hearing. I think like sight would be the hardest one to give up.
The other side of this was the guy from Texas Roadhouse got COVID. Did you hear this story?
No.
One of his side effects from having COVID was he got tinnitus.
Oh, okay. Ooh, okay. Yep.
He killed himself because the tinnitus was too much for him to bear.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
And we had been watching Sound of Metal. Now we're watching this. And I was telling Rachel, like, I always have tinnitus, but mine grew. Like, I know that there was a point in my life where I never had tinnitus. I know that I have it now, and I know that it's definitely gotten worse. But it was progressive, so like I adjusted to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I would just go deaf, like Riz in Sound of Metal, or to go blind, like Elle here, I don't think I could survive. There's no way. I couldn't come back from this.
It's genuinely, I think, impossible to think about from like the place of privilege, like able-bodied. Like I don't know.
Yes.
I'm just trying to think of like the things that you would lose. You lose so much in both of them, but like. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think that I'm strong enough as a person to be able to handle any of these. Like, I don't think that I could personally do it. Like, losing one eye, it's like, that's bad. Like, that would be really, really bad. And then, like, losing the other eye, like, because she doesn't kill her, right? She, like, leaves her with no eyes.
What happens at the end of Game of Death? Doesn't somebody lose a second eye or something, or lose a second arm or something? We talked about this.
Oh.
One of the villains at the end, when it's like not actually Bruce Lee, it's like fake Bruce Lee at the top of that building that like shouldn't be in the movie, where there's like the cake boss or whatever, right? Or the
cake boss was an interesting word for it. Yes.
But like, there's the guy who like, I think there's like the fish tank, right? And like,
he cut his one arm off and then he cuts his other arm off.
Yeah.
That's more vicious than killing someone. Just like leaving them maimed.
Yeah.
Like, that's really, really vicious. Yeah.
Well, I mean, in this movie, Elle has it coming, right? Like, in Sound of Metal, it's just an unfortunate,
for sure.
life life throwing shit at you. But like this is just like, oh no, you're a terrible person, right? So
yeah, exactly.
Bud is even more out of the loop essentially because the way that, you know, I saw it written this way with a lowercase I that doesn't exist in the word, but like the Deadly Viper Assassination Squad, which is Bill's, you know, harem of women plus Bud, it's Divas, and which again, you know, Fox Force 5 or whatever, but DVAs, but you know, one time on IMDb they have a DIVA, but like again, Bud does not belong because like, you know,
he's Diva B.
I guess, yeah, I don't know.
When I was watching this in the beginning, I was thinking like, as much as we have the Dom and Letty like wedding, I can't believe we don't have a fucking wedding in a Fast and Furious movie yet. Like, you don't think like Brian and Mia could have like had a wedding?
Well, there's no relationships. We have Dom and Letty's wedding. We have their secret wedding. And then Brian and Mia, I mean, Paul Walker died. So, like...
No, but I mean, like, before that, you know, like...
A wedding in a movie like a Fast and Furious movie that is not about weddings. I mean, it's about family, but it's not about weddings. Feels like, all right, we're in season... Like, we talked about this recently with Nico and Kev. It's like, oh, we're in season 6 of the sitcom. Like, who's going to get together? It's like, oh, let's just have a wedding. And, like, you don't have a wedding in the first, like, 3 or 4 movies in a franchise about cars.
That's
like, they
true.
even saved the wedding until the end of 6.
And they didn't even show it. It's like a surprise, like a surprise wedding.
It's told to us because Letty is like, I remember everything. I remember our secret wedding. Please come back to life. I'm not ready to die yet. They're like, wait, what? You're married?
Just breathe, Dom.
Let's talk about this last hour, though. Or actually, anything about Paimei that you want to talk about? Because there's the big Paimei thing and there's the thing at the end. So let's talk about Paimei first, because I don't think I have any more notes. But, oh, actually, I do have one more note, but talk about Paimei.
The last thing about Paimei is when Paimei takes the sword from her and he throws it.
Yep.
Is that your... No, okay, cool. And he throws it and he, like, sheathes it into the, like, sword rack.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like... How many times do we see that in Shogun Assassin, right?
Oh, that's not what I was thinking about. I was thinking about Hattori Hanzo with the magnetic knife bar.
Well, that too, but how many times did we see the, like, in Lone Wolf and Cub and Shogun Assassin where, like, that he had that, like, kind of small knife that came over his head and he's like, can you return that, sir? And he just, like, throws it back into the sheath. That's what I was thinking. And I was like, that's obviously really badass, but, like, it's cool to see this happen. Because
also at the end of this movie, if we want to transition to the end there, because I was the same moment, just a different takeaway, but the same moment. But at the end, when the bride and Bill are fighting, right?
Yeah.
And she loses her sword, but has like the sheath, and like she sheathes his sword.
His sword,
that's
yep.
Awesome.
And again, this is something else that we were talking about all over the place when we were watching Lone Wolf and Cub. So to see it just like right in my face here is pretty awesome. That's a cool move too. Like,
yeah.
I only have the sheath of my sword because he hit my sword away and he like goes to stab her and she just is like, no, put that away.
I still like, again, I just love this. I love like the reason I like 2 more than 1 is because of this last hour. And like when she goes up there and like quick and low, like a cop entering a room or whatever. And then there's just Bill and BB with their toy guns and she says, freeze mommy. I still get like chills. Like it's just so... It's such a gut punch, and you can see like she just acts it so perfectly, and that girl is so cute, and like
she's
everything
so
about
cute,
it is
dude.
just, it's the greatest, like, oh my god, because you think the entire time, and again, this is why it works so well if it's not spoiled in the first movie, but not mentioned at the end of the first movie, but it's just like, oh my god, like. Also, you think about, like, the reason they're not together is because of the daughter. Because she's like, I can't do this anymore. I need to leave. Bill finds her and misinterprets what's going on and then kills her out of rage or whatever, right? But, like, or tries to kill her. But it's because of BB that they're not together. It's because of BB that, like, she doesn't have BB in a weird way. So for BB to be around, it's like, damn, man, wow.
Yeah, what a fucking wild world, for sure. And, like, the whole reason she leaves Bill to begin with is because of her. So, like, yeah, it's just, like, the kid plays it's the ultimate key to this whole thing. And I really wish somehow I could watch this movie again for the first time and not know she's alive and watch a version where she doesn't say, like, does she know her daughter's alive?
Because the thing to keep in mind, so if people have not, I mean, we did a terrible job setting up what this movie's about, but I just sort of assume that everybody has seen it. But if you don't know, so the reason she's trying to kill Bill is because she gets sent on a mission, like she's an assassin for him, and she gets sent out to kill this woman in LA. And because she is seen coming to LA, this woman she's set to kill sends her own assassin to kill Uma. And so she goes to the hotel to kill Uma. But Uma just found out that she is pregnant, and so she's a little rattled, and she talks this assassin off her tail and just like, look, I will leave. I'm not going to kill your boss. You don't kill me. We're all good. And so she leaves, and she's like, Bill, I can't do this anymore. And she just runs away, and he has to find her. When he finds her, she's pregnant with this dopey guy from the wedding that we find at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, not only, like, I think the bigger thing is not only did, like, she leave me, but she has settled for this life of mediocrity,
and
like, getting knocked up by this doofus. Yeah. And that's why at the beginning of the first movie, she's like, Bill, it's your baby. Like, as he shoots her in the head, it's like, oh, shit. Okay.
Talking about the scene where she goes and she finds out she's pregnant. One of the things that, like, I didn't mention last time that I love about Tarantino is his close-up of, like, objects, like the most stupid, like, pregnancy test and stuff like that. Just, like, the way he shoots them to make them look really cool. I don't know how he does it. It's awesome. Of course, the pregnancy test is important in this scene, but, like, to shoot it in a way that it looks cool sitting on a bathroom counter is, like, how do you do that on this, like, weird angle and, like, the focus? It's just really, really cool, and it always surprises me.
That scene is great. Like, and I thought you were gonna say also, you know, a lot of close-ups of her feet as well.
Well, I mean, obviously.
Shout out to the body shop.
The body shop this episode, yeah.
It doesn't feel slow, the end, right? Like, it just feels like this is exactly what it needs to be. You know, Bill making sandwiches and then the story about the goldfish, and then her laying down with BB, and like it all, like, you know, everybody knows, they know, and you know how this night ends. One of them is going to get killed, right?
For sure. From the jump.
She's there to kill him, and either he defends himself or she's successful. And so they're like sort of kind of like domestic bliss, kind of, and then her watching a movie with her daughter, and then like going out and then just like kind of shooting the shit a little bit, and then like, okay, we need to do this.
Yeah, let's get this murder on. I like that back end of it, and like you're talking about now, it feels so familial that, like, watching this, and because we watch all the Fast and the Furious movies, you're like, this is like character development and family and like all the things we look for in those movies too. And I think that's part of what makes this one so good. The second one, just like the unfolding and like learning their intentions and about them and like how well the characters are developed is like, yes, that's what I was looking for. Also, when she's there, she says something to Bill, you know that like before that moment I would have jumped a motorcycle onto a speeding train for you. And I was like, we've seen that. We've definitely seen that.
I don't know if I have any other notes. I do want to just make note again that Esteban Vejeo, the other Michael Parks character, is like so cool in an absolutely creepy kind of way. I love him at the end, only on the condition that you call me Esteban.
He's so good, and his voice is like so perfect. I wish I had that voice. That's a voice that I want.
Well, also, that's not his voice. Like, his voice, like, he in the beginning of the movie, like, has like a Texan accent. So like, he's just like a white dude.
Yeah, but I know, but I want that voice. The voice that he's doing, I want that voice for my permanent voice all the time. Elle's sitting there, right? After she kills Bud, Bill calls her, and she's, like, packing up the money, and she's like, oh, you know, like, your brother's dead, she killed him. And, like, you know, makes up, like, the fake story because she killed Bud to get the sword, whatever.
But I got her, don't worry about it. Do you know where she says she is? No.
She goes, if you ever want to find her, get to Barstow, California.
Does she say Barstow?
I swear to God I heard her say Barstow.
So Bud lives in Barstow.
So there you go. So I was like, it's fucking Barstow. That's exotic to her.
Yep, here we go. Let me put it this way. If you ever start getting sentimental, if you ever start feeling sentimental, go to Barstow, California. When you get here, walk into a florist, buy a bunch of flowers, take those flowers to Huntington Cemetery on Fuller and Guadalupe, look for the headstone marked Paula Schultz.
Yep.
Lay them in the grave because you'll be standing at the final resting place of Beatrix Kiddo. Oh, by the way, the Beatrix Kiddo name reveal is like, it's
please
the dumb...
tell me this.
I don't... Who
That's
cares?
in my notes. Go ahead.
Who cares?
Who the fuck cares? This is so stupid. I was trying to say, like, is there something deeper here that, like, I didn't get? Like,
don't think so. Didn't see anything about it.
It's so fucking dumb. Like, I mean, for all the good choices you make in this movie, why are you beeping, like, out her name for it to be Beatrix Kiddo? Cool. And it's not like everybody's secretly talking about Beatrix Kiddo. Like, everybody else is saying the name, so it's like, oh, no, like...
Well, Bill calls her Kiddo twice.
Yes. Yeah, like, to her face. And they don't beep that part.
Before the name reveal, yes. Because it's just like, that's also a nickname. I don't know. Like, I think it's cool in a weird whatever way.
It's a cool... Yeah, it's
I think it's cool that they bleep her name, because it's like, oh, like, keep your name out her mouth. Or keep her name out your mouth. But you know what I mean? Like, one of those kind of things. But, like, it's not like, oh, her name is... also Bill. It's like, wait, what? No, like
yes, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, it's not like, oh, like, no, the whole time Elle was her, and we just didn't want you to know that they're all talking about her. It's
right.
Like,
nope.
No. just fucking cool.
And like the reveal of her in an elementary school class where she's an adult,
I like it.
But I don't know why. Like I don't understand why they do. Like I don't understand it.
I like that it's like a weird cut, like jump away, like that part I enjoy. But it does feel like the whole like reveal was just so that he could have this scene somehow.
Guess
if you like put the name in, then you have to cut this scene because it doesn't fucking matter, right? Like, or put it like way at the beginning.
I don't know.
It was in my notes. I'm like, why the fuck did we have to do this name reveal? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, it's so useless.
I don't know. If you know her name, like in the first scene, when in the Vernita Green scene, in the first movie, not the first scene, but like one of the first scenes in the first movie, when Vernita Green's talking to her daughter, she's like, Beatrix is here. And like, they bleep it, but like, you can still hear the B and the X. So like,
yes,
I don't know. And there's not a lot of names that like, again, who cares? I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't get it. Do you know what movie Bill is watching while they're watching Shogun Assassin? Because I feel like that was probably important.
I didn't see it. I didn't see notes about that. Let me see if I can find it.
It's like a Western movie.
Here are 31 film references in Kill Bill Volume 2.
Cool.
The final tracking shot of the bride is from Queen Christina from 1933. They're watching Shogun Assassin. Fistful of Dollars score. There's a shot from The Searchers.
Shot from The Searchers. That's probably it. Yep.
No. The Searchers is her in her gown in Texas. John Wayne walks in the door in The Searchers. Elle is wearing Mia's, not our Mia, but Mia Wallace, her suit from Pulp Fiction, and Jackie Brown apparently also. There's a line from Jackie Brown. Crawling Up the Grave is from a bunch of different movies. There's a siren music from Ironside. The Talking Magpies cartoon at the end. Trapped in a Coffin is like the City of the Living Dead. As Useless as an Asshole is a reference to Savage 7. There's a shot from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. War of the Blonde Gargantuas. Paris's Death in Blade Runner, we got that. We mentioned that before. The original Elle Driver was from a movie called Thriller, A Cruel Picture. Or at least inspired by a Swedish exploitation film. Beatrix Kiddo inspired by Lana Turner from Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from 1941. Zabriskie Point is referenced. They reference Star Wars Episode 5, Luke and Yoda. Oh, the Golden Stallion on TV. Here we go. As the bride confronts Bill at the end, he's watching Roy Rogers' 1949, The Golden Stallion.
I've never seen it. I'm sure it plays into this somehow, based on how all this works. The
Golden Stallion. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, this is actually kind of cool. I've never actually been here. Golden Stallion is diamonds are being smuggled across the border from Mexico in a specially made shoe of a Palomino mare. One of the smugglers is killed when the mare runs off. Blah, blah, blah. But the poster for this, remember all those like posters that I got from my dad that my dad got from somebody? Like all those old, like, it looks like one of those. Like, I don't think I have any Roy Rogers posters, but like, it's that whole like, oh, this is a cool,
white and yellow 1940s aesthetic
art. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But on IMDb, there's a section called Connections that has different movies in the series, like what follows, what's followed by, what it's edited into, and then also references. So in here, there's so many references. Holy moly. And then referenced in a bunch of stuff. But like references, Annie Oakley, Queen Christina, His Girl Friday, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Casablanca, Talking Magpies, Postman Always Rings Twice, Golden Stallion, $64,000 Question, The Searchers, Quick Draw McGraw, Navajo Joe, like just like dozens of them, of course.
There has to be dozens of us.
Dozens, Michael. Any other notes about this movie?
When she is in the white dress at the end, and they're playing what sounds to me like Spanish music, the setting of that room, it just felt very Mia in Brazil to me.
Oh, okay.
Is she in Brazil? Like when she's like hiding out? Remember, like she's like at the compound or whatever? Like it just had like a very similar vibe.
Cool. Well, let's watch the trailer and see if we're inspired for any more things. We're watching our boy Movie Clips Classic Trailers, posted February 27th, 2014, 912,000 views. Kill Bill Volume 2 official trailer, Uma Thurman, David Carradine, action movie HD.
Whenever you're ready, tell me.
All right. 3, 2, 1, play.
Rated R. There's lots of fucks in this one.
Yeah, I also think, into that point, like when Uma finds out she's pregnant, she just says, fuck.
Yeah.
Which is,
feet.
Probably.
We start with feet.
We do.
There's so much feet in this movie.
You've seen her betrayed.
That's a good shot, too, when they all, like, line up and pull their guns out in front of the chapel. In this whole chapel scene, like, you don't have to show them all getting shot. You just show the, like...
There's your cool moment.
That's a very cool moment.
You want to see half the picture.
I've killed a hell of a lot of people to get to this point, and I am gonna
the sword.
Bill.
in the passenger seat is pretty badass too.
I also think it's fun that, like, I don't know if he's in, like, you know, a villa in, like, a resort or somewhere.
Yeah,
but,
he's
like,
in, like, a resort. That's what we're talking about.
She's walking through the lobby with a katana strapped to her back and no one stops her, right? So.
Yeah. I was trying to think, like, if you saw somebody carrying a katana, would you, like, even notice?
I don't know. Like, there's the Nicolas Cage movie, The Weatherman, where he just carries a crossbow through, like, downtown New York, right? And it's, like, after 9/11. It's like, what? No, that feels not
that feels
like a
not
thing that would happen.
Real. But if you had, like, a katana on your back, you'd be like,
through 88 bodyguards.
I will say this trailer is not nearly as good as the trailer for the first movie.
No, that car is really badass, too. It's like a wacky car. I looked it up.
I guess they thought it sounded cool.
It kind of looks like DeLorean, a little bit.
It's a Di Tommaso
Oh,
Mangusta.
I've heard of that.
Exactly. The
Wait,
classic.
Vivi is in... Oh, I guess we know that Vivi's in the movie.
Yeah.
But
This
still.
this fucking sucks as a trailer.
The
first one was so good.
I had to choose. I chose her.
And this is the official trailer. This is not like a fan cut or anything. It's just like...
No, I mean, like, this would just, like,
Yeah, this is-
suck.
Yeah, this is how you chose to sell the movie. I don't, like... That's the thing. Like, the first movie is so cinematic and so,
Yeah.
like, action-packed, and this is, like, more emotional. And I get that's harder to sell, but, like...
No, not even just to sell. It's just, like, it's so spoilery. Like, there's everything in this.
Also that.
That's what I'm mad about.
Baby, you ain't kidding. Cool.
Sorry, I overreacted.
Oh.
You overreacted?
Uh-oh.
Big laugh line in the theater, I'm sure. The Letterboxd game. So for reference sake, finally it broke 800,000. Mad Max Fury Road, one of the most popular films on Letterboxd, has now been seen by 800,872. So in the last 2 days, it's been seen by like 1,000 people. So again, crazy, like 500 people a day logging that movie, right?
Still, and it's, what, 20 years old, almost? So
No,
15?
no. Fury Road's like a decade old. It came out in 2015.
Oh, sorry,
Not
I
even-
was thinking Kill Bill, and I almost said Pulp Fiction again. Fuck. But go ahead.
Boy, what is going on here? Kill Bill Volume 2, 2004, directed by Quentin Tarantino, Uma Thurman, David Carradine, Daryl Hannah, and Michael Madsen, has been seen by how many people? You want to refresh it? Do you want to remember what the first one was, or do you want to know?
No, I want to go in blind. I'm trying to remember what the first one was to help me. I'm going to go, I think it was close to 600,000. I'm going to go 650,000.
So the first movie, you guessed 600, you were too low. The first movie was 800.
Okay.
Or 750 or something. So you said 600, you said 650 here?
Yeah, 650 here.
You're too high.
So a lot of people didn't log, like, Kill Bill 1 was it. That's funny. I was watching this, and I was watching this with, Rachel's parents are here. So I was watching this with Kevin, and Kevin's like, I don't ever think I've seen the second Kill Bill. I'm like, what? Like 1 was it? You were just good on 1? Like, you just never wanted to watch the second one? I don't know how this played out, but...
I don't know, man.
Okay, fuck, 550,000. I think it's still high.
You're still high, but you're not wildly high. You got to go a little lower.
515,000.
527, 519.
Damn.
So the first movie had 786,000. This is 528, so like 2/3 of it. It makes, I mean, a first movie is never going to be less seen, I don't think, in a franchise, right? Unless like a franchise is like decades long.
Yeah, I think so.
First movie, an average rating of 4.1. This movie, average rating of 4.0, most common a 4, then a 5, then a 4.5, then a 3.5. How many of those 528,000 people have this in their top 4 of all time?
I forget. The last one was maybe like 4,000 or something crazy.
Last one was 10,000.
It was 10,000. I'm going to go, this one's like 3,000.
Too high.
1,500.
Very close. 1,400. It just round. It doesn't. I don't have breakdowns from there. 1,400 people have this in their top 4. So
That's
significant,
crazy.
like a
10,000 to 4. But the thing is, I think that this is like really skewed. This is one of the hardest ones because I think that like people are like, oh, Kill Bill Volume 1 counts as both Kill Bill and Kill Bill 2.
Well, there also
Get what I'm
is,
saying?
or there was for a while, a log, like a thing you could log on Letterboxd that was the whole bloody affair that I had in my top 4, I think, for a while. Like when I do like my favorite movies of all time, I just put that in there. So that's
what I'm saying. Yes. Yeah.
Also, like when I was looking for a lot of people, like we're going to go to NFO Puffxer, probably some kind of like, I'm saying it wrong, but it's probably some kind of curse. A lot of people, when I was looking for a top 4 to play, had both of them in their top 4. So like people who liked the second one, like the first one too, right? So
Obviously, yeah.
But we're going to this account, no name, just
No name
whatever.
Denise.
No name Denise. Review is just daddy issues, 5 stars.
Okay.
So this person's account, he's got a Last FM. Let's see what he's listened to. Oh, he listens to Mastodon. Okay, cool. Eminem a lot in the last. Smashing Pumpkins is #1 played artist of all time. If that gives you Kanye #3, Radiohead #7. Cool, okay.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so he's Isaiah, it says. Kill Bill 2 is his 4th favorite movie of all time. Joe, his #1 movie is a movie that comes up a lot in this game recently.
Blade Runner.
Which one?
2049.
You got it. #1, 2049.
At this point, you just have to pick Blade Runner in every single one, because apparently it's just in every one, so, like, just one gimme.
Well, I'm also, I'm intentionally picking 4 that you can get, but also there are a lot of movies that you can guess. That just happens to be one that comes up a lot. So, you know.
I mean, it's a good movie. I get it.
Sure.
Yeah.
#2, I don't know if this is going to help you, is a movie that I didn't get in an argument with, but Mike and I got into a disagreement with Brian and Kyle yesterday, because Brian and Kyle are not very enthusiastic about this movie. They think it's long and boring. Mike and I are like, you guys are crazy, and I think this is one of the best action movies of all time.
Best action movies, but they think it's long and boring.
Yes, and they have a personal connection to an earlier movie in this franchise, and Mike and I have a connection to the entire franchise. This is, I think, this is Mike and my, I think, favorite movie by this actor and favorite in the franchise for sure.
Is it a Mission Impossible?
Mm-hmm. What's the one? What's the good
Ghost
one?
Protocol.
Nope, that's the second best one in my opinion.
I don't know what Mission Impossible 3.
No, I think that one's not great, and that's the one that Philip Seymour Hoffman is in, and so Brian and Kyle are like, oh my god, this movie's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, it's all right. Like, I think 2 is the worst one. I think everybody kind of agrees that 2 is the worst one in that, and then I think 3 is next. Underwhelming. But this one, Mission Impossible Fallout, the most recent one.
Oh, yeah.
God damn it. Amazing.
People love that movie, yeah.
Amazing. All right, and then #3 is what many people, I would say the most people probably consider the best superhero movie of all time.
Avengers Endgame.
No, that's probably actually the right answer to my question, but that's not what I was trying to get you to guess.
Okay. The best superhero movie of I'm gonna go The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a foursome.
Well, I mean, it's 4 huge movies, right? Blade Runner 2049, Mission Impossible Fallout, The Dark Knight, and Kill Bill 2. It's like, yeah, those are 4 great movies.
Those are 4 very, very big movies. Yeah, that is absolutely it.
I mean, we've never talked about on here what my 4 are. My #1 is a YouTube series, The History of the Seattle Mariners, which is not my favorite thing of all time, but I just love it. And there's like a big old Ken Griffey Jr. at the top. That was my favorite thing I saw all year last year. Like, that was far away.
You definitely talked about it, and it does sound interesting, but still.
And then #2, Paddington 2, and then Rad, and then my 4th one changes right now. It's Spring Breakers.
Yeah.
But I love Rad, and I love Paddington too.
And Spring Breakers too. Rachel just turned on Spring Breakers the other night, like it was on. I think we had, shout out, I think we had like a Showtime preview on Sling.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, we don't really care about Showtime. We're a Stars podcast.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. It was one or the other. I honestly don't remember. But it was on one of them, and like Spring Breakers was on. She hits play, and it's like as they're doing like every time.
Oh, perfect.
Like she turns it on and they're like dancing with like the things that he's playing piano. And I was like, did you know that this is where this movie was? And she's like, no.
Rachel's got the gift. She's got the touch.
She does. She has it.
All right, Joe, on Tuesday, we've got our tune-up relap recap with Heather Antos closing out last week.
Are you going to ask her who her favorite character is?
I'm going to have to ask her the right way because apparently she's a difficult human being. Yeah, and I'll leave it at that. Tuesday, tune-up relap recap, closing out lap 8, announcing the theme for lap 9, and then the week after that, we're doing the Fast and Furious lap 9. And lap 9. I don't know our guest yet. I mean, we've reached out. We got a bunch of people who are interested in doing the show.
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out who it's going to be. Got a good slate of guests for next lap. It's just a matter of who it's going to be. I don't know, but yeah, we're getting real close to watching these movies all over again, which feels like we just did it, but also we didn't, so I don't know.
I mean, it always feels like we just watched them, right? Like, that's kind of how this works.
Oh, boy. Yep. Mm-hmm. And we're never that far away from another one.
No, definitely not.
We'll talk more about that on Tuesday, but for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/toofast2forever, or at toofast2forever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page at toofast2forever.com. We got a bonus episode coming at you next week or the week after, probably.
Ooh.
So check out that at toofast2forever.com, only for our patrons over there. Store at toofast2forever.shop, and come back on Tuesday for our tune-up relap recap, closing at lap 8, which is the Tokyo Drift lap. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too.
And we'll tell you all about it.
We see you